have a question. What if a person uses makeup and shaves body hair? Who are they? And what if the person wears female clothes and lingerie at home? And then what? But what if it's done not at home, but on the stage as an act of performance? Or the person is planning on starting HRT and upcoming gender-affirming surgeries. Who are they? Yes, it can be complicated. So let's try to find the answer together. Hi, I'm Kira, a transgender woman and psychologist who shares my experience of transitioning from male to female. In today's video, I will talk about differences between feminine men, drag queens, crossdressers, and transgender women. Also, I will give you some examples for better understanding. Most people don't understand who is who, and for them we're all men in dress. Yes, in some cases it's true, and there is nothing bad about it. But in others, it can be offensive, it can hurt someone's feelings. I have always advocated for using specific and right terms when describing things. Before we start, we should know two terms: gender identity and gender expression. Gender identity is your deeply held inner feeling of whether you're male, female, both, or neither. Gender identity is not seen by others. It may be the same as your sex assigned at birth, then you're a cisgender. Or not, then you're a transgender. Gender expression is how a person publicly presents their gender identity. It can include behavior or outward appearance, like clothing, makeup, body language, and voice. I'm a transgender woman, and I identify myself as one. I feel, think, and perceive myself as a woman. My gender expression is also feminine. I look, I dress, I apply makeup, I have long hair, I undergo cosmetic and surgical procedures. I sound and behave as a woman. So there is a match between my gender identity and gender expression. But there are people who have those concepts in a mismatch. Or so, they struggle to identify themselves, and they fall into the category to which they don't belong to. In some cases, it is necessary to go through different stages, just like I did. I was identifying as a crossdresser for more than 20 years. But I never felt that it is the right thing for me. So I made a decision to start transitioning, both socially and medically. Now let's talk more specifically about these four categories of people who embrace their inner femininity. First one is feminine men. There are social norms on how men and women should typically look like. These norms apply to specific countries and times, and they can significantly differ. For example, a Scottish kilt is a traditional element of male clothing, but in other countries, it is usually perceived as an element of female wardrobe. These differences apply not only to outward appearance, but also to gestures, manners, and behavior. Some men feel the need to express not only their male side, but also a feminine one. This can be shown in extra taking care of their bodies, removing body hair, wearing female elements of clothing, like high heels or skirts publicly. Also, it can be seen in voice intonations and gestures. Oftentimes, feminine men are a part of gay community, but it's not only limited to gays. Heterosexual men also embrace their femininity, and they understand that gender identities and expressions are not only black and white. The other category of people I admire who express their femininity publicly are drag queens. Here are some examples.
They wanna say my name, but they holding back. They wanna say they hate, but they know it's cap. I ain't play no games, I just do that's fact. And I don't feel no shame, it's a mood you lack. I go crazy, nah, but I ain't lazy. Track after track, I work on this shit daily. Pass me the jack, right as fuel, got me hazy.
I should point out one thing. Although drag queens are usually cisgender gay men, but it's not only limited to them. Anyone can be cisgender man, cisgender women, transgender, non-binary, heterosexual, bisexual, gay. Anyone can be a drag queen. They present it as a form of performance and art. They do amazing makeups, clothing, dancing, lip-syncing, comedy. They're amazing, talented artists whom I admire. It is done in the front of the audience by impersonating and sometimes exaggerating femininity. What is the difference between the previous category? Drag queens do it only in front of the audience, publicly. They leave their character on the stage, and they present themselves as anyone else in their everyday life. The next category we'll talk about today are crossdressers. Before we start, let's watch some videos. A crossdresser is a person, usually a man, who dresses according to the opposite gender. It can be done for many reasons, and all of them are valid. Enjoyment, exploring gender identity, embracing their feminine side, and oftentimes it is followed by arousal and excitement. Hyperfemininity and sexualization of female look may be a part of crossdressing. Many times it can be seen by wearing high heels, miniskirts, lace lingerie, applying evening makeup, and wearing revealing dresses. Usually it is done in safe places like home or in meetings of crossdressers in clubs. Much rarely it's done publicly. Another example of safe place is social media. There is a big online community of crossdressers, where they easily socialize by sharing same interests. In everyday life, crossdressers present according to their sex assigned at birth, and usually they're congruent with their bodies and minds. They feel like men, they're totally fine with their male anatomy, and they have none or minimal symptoms of gender dysphoria. However, from time to time, they impersonate women by wearing feminine clothing and makeup. I want to emphasize that the word impersonating. It is copying someone's characteristics. In case of crossdressing, it is copying the female look. It's a facade, a top part of the iceberg of womanhood. Under the water, there is much more than only appearance. Emotions, feelings, socialization. Women face issues like misogyny, female discrimination, and objectification. Crossdressers don't or should not meet these issues, since they identify themselves as men. Crossdressing may be seen by society as something unusual and shameful, since men usually don't do this. I can agree that it's something unusual, but definitely not something to be ashamed of. In my personal opinion, there should be no judgment or prejudice toward crossdressing. More so, it's a great way to explore your gender identity, and I highly encourage everyone who is questioning their gender to start with crossdressing. It's safe and has no negative impact on anyone. I can hardly imagine finding my gender identity without identifying myself as a crossdresser for more than 20 years. It was a big part of my journey. The only thing I want to emphasize is that it should not become an obsession. The healthy way is to perceive it as only one part of your personality, but not the whole personality. The last category to which I belong are transgender women. Here are some examples.
That tells so many people that they're not enough. I'm here to tell you that you are. You're enough just as who you are.
In this video, I'm talking only about binary trans women who shifted from the one pole of gender spectrum to another. The topic of non-binary and gender-fluid people I will discuss in future videos. Let's talk specifically about the word transgender, because the true and deep understanding of this word is a part of self-acceptance. The term transgender is formed by the prefix trans that can be translated as through or across. It can be also understood as moving from the one pointer state to another, and the noun gender. In case of transgender people, it is moving from the one gender to another. While a trans person can express their gender through clothing, their gender identity is based on deep and inner feelings, not just the way how they look and dress. If feminine men, drag queens, and crossdressers focus more on gender expression, for trans women it's more about gender identity. Trans women identify and present as women, and have the same mentality and mindset as women, despite being born in male bodies and having XY chromosomes. Some research shows that brain structure of trans women are shifted more to female than male, but not 100% matching it. Because of this mismatch, transgender people experience gender dysphoria, which can be diagnosed by psychiatrists or clinical psychologists. There is only one known and effective treatment: transitioning. It may include social transition like changing name, using female pronouns, changing gender marker in documents, wearing female clothes publicly, presenting and socializing as women, and medical transition, which includes hormone replacement therapy and gender-affirming surgeries. By medical transition, we can achieve secondary sexual characteristics and surgically formed genitalia that copy appearance and some functions of female ones. There have been no successful uterus and ovaries transplants, so we can't give birth, produce enough estrogen, or have periods. Yes, some trans women have similar symptoms to PMS, but they're not periods in a traditional sense. Medical and social transition are only available options, but not a strict requirement to be identified as a transgender woman. I heard some trans women saying that transgender women are completely the same as cisgender women, or sometimes even better, which is weird to me. I have two main reasons to disagree with it. First of all are body differences that I've listed before, and being socialized as men with some rare exceptions before deciding to transition. I was socialized as a man for more than 30 years, which was incredibly hard for me because of having the mindset of a woman. Trans women can't change this fact, and it doesn't give any reason to pretend to have the same experience as cisgender women. First of all, it's disrespectful to trans women themselves, because of neglecting the fact of struggling while living in male bodies, fighting for the right to be themselves, and making enormously hard decisions. And my second point, it's disrespectful to cisgender women by associating themselves with struggles that women had, like misogyny, female discrimination, objectification since childhood. We trans women didn't have them in the past, but we have it now. We're being sexualized and discriminated as any other woman in modern patriarchal society. Trans women are women? Yes. Trans women are trans women? Yes, also true. We became women by transitioning from male to female. All of these four categories we spoke about today fall out of social norm. I want to emphasize that I use the norm not as something offensive, but just like a term. It has no negative context. It is just the fact that majority of people are heterosexual, cisgender, and they present themselves according to their sex assigned at birth. Feminine men, drag queens, crossdressers, and trans women don't belong to this majority. Is it good or bad? Neither of those. Unless you feel yourself good in the gender expression in identity you have, enjoy it. Don't try to reach the other category that you don't belong to and you don't feel this way. There shouldn't be any cult of superiority of one category over the others, because all of them are equal and they all deserve to be seen by society without any prejudice. It was a brief overview, but if you think that I should focus on one of those categories and make a separate video, please write it in the comments. If you find value in my content, want to support my work, or just say thank you, please consider donating to me on buymeacoffee.com. It is a small way to help me continue creating these videos and covering the costs involved. You will find the link in the description below. Thank you for being with me. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and see you soon in my next video. Bye!